Yeah, tough night. I'm proud of our team, proud of the seniors, proud of the year that we've had, but that was a tough night. A lot to unravel there, but when you look a team in the eye in the locker room after the long season we've been through, it's hard to start focusing on one or two plays or whatever it was, because they've been through so much. I'm proud of the legacy that the seniors have left behind, but you got to give credit to Alabama. Certainly a very good team, and they played really well tonight.
Our first question is from Cameron Buford.
Hey, Coach, Los Angeles News Observer here. I want to ask you about the game difference. You guys play 7 games versus their 12 games in the season. Do you think those extra games allowed them more time to get comfortable with each other versus your 7 games? You guys still working on some stuff maybe?
I think, this season has been crazy, disruptive, all of the above. And, I think, some guys practicing, some games being canceled, not being canceled. That's what it was. And, what I tried not to do and what we tried not to do is focus on those things and have built-in excuses. We just kept pushing forward, not having guys available. And then, like you said, get into a rhythm. I thought going into the semifinal game against Clemson, we hadn't played our best game yet. And we needed to play our best game tonight against Alabama, and we didn't.
Our next question is from Austin Ward with Lettermen Row. Go ahead, Austin.
Ryan, I know that this just ended, half an hour ago, but I wonder, where do you go from here? This year was so long. You guys worked so hard. I can't imagine that you want to just go straight back into off-season workouts. What's the next step now?
Yeah, Austin, we need a break. We need to get away. Kids are guys and their families, and we all just need a break. And we've already started to put together the schedule for the spring, but we all need to get away for a while. This has been a long road. Guys miss their families, and they deserve time to be with them. And so we'll unwind for a little while, have an opportunity to reflect on what this season's been, and then get back into it. But you're right. I mean, you can't just go back to work here. There needs some time to rest and reflect.
Our next question is from Dennis Dye with CBS Sports. Dennis, go ahead.
Ryan, you've done this a lot of times, game plan for a game, but what's it like, looking at film and tendencies and everything else against Alabama and then actually facing all that firepower? What's it like to deal with it?
Well, no, they do. They're very, good schematically, and they have really good personnel. And so, it's one thing to have a good play. It's another thing to execute it. And, we didn't do that, well enough on either side of the ball tonight.
Okay.
Next question is from Joey Kaufman. Joey, go ahead with your question. Joey, are you there? Okay, we'll move ahead. Then with our next question from Pranav Rama. Go ahead with your question.
Sorry about that. Coach, second half, why do you think the game slipped away from you guys?
I don't think there's one thing. I think it's several things. We didn't finish a couple of those drives, didn't get the fourth down conversion, 2 of them. And they continued to make big plays, and they got up, I think, 4 scores on us, and we couldn't quite keep up. And so it was just a combination of things. I thought there was a point there where if we had got to stop and got into the end zone, that we had an opportunity to get back in within a couple scores, maybe get it down to 10, and so but that didn't happen. And I just think it's a combination of things.
Our next question is from Stephen Helwagen. Stephen, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Coach, I know that just minutes after his last game, or presumably his last game, it's tough to take stock of what Justin Fields meant for this program, but just your thoughts in a nutshell, if this is it for him, 20-2, I believe, as a starter, and just the courage and everything he showed and leadership he brought to your program really kind of bridged the gap for you getting this program and your part of it started.
Yeah, I mean, Justin's been unbelievable. He's as competitively tough a player as I've been around. For him to go out there and play today, really shows his toughness and how much he loves his brothers. He still took some shots on that hip, and he was not 100% tonight. He was working through it and made some really good throws, made some gutsy plays. Kept us in the game there for a while, but. He's an unbelievable player. I'm gonna miss him.
Our next question is from Nathan Baird. Nathan, go ahead with your question.
Ryan, you knew that with their explosiveness and their balance that I guess you're kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing sometimes on defense. But I guess just what was the approach and as far as how to play them, the mix of linebackers, mix of defensive backs. What was the choice there, and why do you think they were able to exploit it so well?
Well, we wanted to make sure we didn't change, what we do just fundamentally, but we also had to have some change ups because, if you just sit there, they're going to pick you apart. But again, I think it goes back to, it's one thing to have some ideas, it's another thing to execute them, and we didn't do that well enough. There was just obviously way too many big plays, and then on offense, we couldn't go score for score with them, and and then the game gets out of hand. But our guys competed; they play all the way to the end, and I wouldn't have any other group with me. They're a special group of men. But to go back to your question, yeah, we had some things that we did that we wanted to change it up. We also wanted to make sure we were doing the same things that got us to this point, but clearly it wasn't good enough.
Our next question is from Rob Oller. Rob, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Ryan, it's one thing to see a guy on tape, another to see him live. Can you just comment on Devontae Smith? Have you seen anything quite like that? Is he one of the best you've seen? And the pressure of having to score every time as an offensive coach. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, no, it's that part is tough, and then I think that there's a feeling of if you don't score, you're going to get down, and then like you said, the pressure mounts. We got that turnover early that kind of got us going a little bit, but yeah, I don't know if I've seen one better than that. He just seemed to create a lot of separation. He's obviously very fast. He plays stronger than he looks. He's not a very big guy, but his play strength is significant, and he just eats up ground down the field once he gets those strides going. Tremendous ball skills. Heisman Trophy winner and well deserved. He's a great player.
Our next question is from Bill Landis. Bill, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, thanks. You said you didn't want to change your defensive plan coming into this game. This vision, the structure of this defense is something you said you wanted to keep in place. Do you think you need to change it? Is it too rigid when you get on the field with a team that has this kind of talent, a team that you're going to see, every year moving forward once you get to this kind of stage?
Well, like I said, we did do some different things. We changed up some of the looks and played some too high, which is not something we typically do a lot of. Pressured some more the last couple of games. So I thought we did mix it up a decent amount. But again, it's another thing to actually execute it. And, when you're playing against elite players, and this is probably one of the better offenses in college football in a long time. The margin for error is tiny. So I think it's probably more the execution. I thought at least, in the first half we did a decent job against the run game, which was a huge emphasis point, is we had to stop the run, and they're very, very well balanced. And so that's the challenge when you go against a team like this. But clearly we didn't hold up, well enough in the pass game.
Our next question is from Bill Rabinowitz. Bill, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Ryan. I'm assuming Trey Sermon was a huge part of the offensive game plan. How much of a blow was that to lose him? And could you also address the decision to kick the field goal when it was fourth and goal from the 6, I think?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to lose Trey on the first play of the game, it's just one of those things. Whatever you think what's going to happen in the game, it's probably not going to happen that way. And we lose Trey in the first play of the game. And we certainly missed Tommy Togiai in the game, and a few others. But that is what it is. You got to overcome it. And like I told our guys, nobody feels sorry for you, so you just got to keep pushing forward. It's kind of been the theme of this season. Well, I think if it was 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, I think you probably go for it. But I think it was either on the 5 or the 6, and I think that the percentages there are very low conversion rate. So I just said, let's just take the 3 points and move on.
Our next question is from Carter Hill. Carter, go ahead with your question.
Let's switch to the defense now.
Hey, Coach Dave, thanks for taking my call. Looking back on the season, what is the difficulty about the season? I know with the coronavirus and all that, was that the difficult part of the season to keep everybody together?
Yeah. There was a lot that went into that. This is, it's probably an hour answer to that whole thing. But yeah, it's been a lot with these guys. Having no fans, having no season, having games canceled. Yeah, it was a challenge, but wouldn't have it any other way. What these guys have learned, and what our coaching staff has learned, and this whole program has learned about, what our culture is all about. Very, very proud of that. And for the guys who are in the locker room who are going to be coming back, they have something to motivate them in the off season. That feeling of coming off the field. We felt that way coming off the field last year in Clemson. Now we feel the same way coming off the field against Alabama. So I'm going to use that as a motivation, in the off season.
We have time for a few more questions. Let's try Carter Hill once again.
Coach, how would you reflect on Ohio State football, in your opinion, in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the culture of our program, the leadership of our program, the way that our kids fought for a season and then came back, dealt with all the adversity along the way of games being canceled, guys being out. For some programs, there was a lot of guys out early and they kind of got them back and were able to get into a rhythm. It was very, very difficult for us to do that. We had, the offensive line was out for an extended period of time. And then, in this game, we had the defensive line, we had wide receivers, during the Big Ten championship game. And so for us to continually work through all of that and get to this moment right here was an unbelievable success. And we won the game. The goal was not to get here. The goal was to win the game. But all that being said, couldn't be prouder of our culture, what our kids are made of, and where the program's headed.
And our last question for Coach Day will come from Tino Benzi. All right, one last question. We'll try Tim May. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, as you look back on it, there were a few times when y'all made it almost look easy going down the field, and then others where it was herky-jerky. And I'm just wondering, as you reflect back, what was it that Alabama was doing defensively, rolling the dice, et cetera, that gave you the most problems? And could you give us an update on Wyatt Davis?
Yeah, Wyatt, just talked to him. He kind of re-injured that knee. Sore right now. I'm not sure, what the diagnosis is. We'll have to check with our doctors, but he's sore and he's certainly in pain. On offense, the thing for us was I felt like when we got the first down, we kind of got going and we get into our rhythm and our tempo. When we couldn't get those first downs, that's when I think we had 3 and outs in the first half. That hurt us. And then I think we had a couple in the second half as well. And one of the challenges is that, we like to go tempo. But when you go tempo, when you go fast, you put the defense back on the field. And when you go against an offense like this, that's kind of in the back of your mind. And so it was kind of hard for us to get into a rhythm. It was hard for us to get into that kind of tempo. We did a little bit. We got a couple rounds, and we did a nice job there. But there was also the other side of the ball, and we had to kind of balance that out. But at the end of the day, if we just did a little bit better job executing to get those first couple first downs and get into a little bit of rhythm of the drive, we would have done better.
All right, that's it for this virtual press conference with Coach Day. Thank you very much for joining us. Everyone, quarterback Justin Fields will be next. So if you want to just hang on for a second while we're waiting for him to get set up, just a reminder that a transcript provided by ASAP Sports will be distributed via email and posted along with photos, video, and audio files in CFP portal. And with quarterback Justin Fields joining us, I'd like to welcome everybody again to this news conference. To ask a question during the session, please raise your hand using the raise hand icon within Zoom. If and when your question is selected, the host will unmute your microphone and say your name. Our first question is from Joey Kaufman. Joey, go ahead with your question.
Justin, Ryan said you were not 100% tonight. How do you think your injury affected things overall, and how did you feel just playing the game?
At the end of the day, I was able to play, and we didn't get the job done. I think my injury, of course I could have been healthier, but I was healthy enough, and I was able to be out there. We just weren't able to job.
Our next question is from Stephen Helwagen. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, Justin, just wanted to ask you in regards to preparation for this game, were you able to practice the last several days somewhat unbridled, or was there a limitation on what you could do this past week leading up to it? And beside that, just perhaps if you could just reflect on what this 2 years at Ohio State's meant for you.
I was able to practice towards the beginning of the week. Last week, I had to miss a couple, but these last 2 years have been great. Made a lot of friendships, made a lot of brothers. I'm gonna always, get here. Last game, I know they definitely wanted a different outcome, but I'm gonna miss everybody.
Our next question is from Nathan Baird. Nathan, go ahead with your question.
Justin, it seemed like they ratcheted up the pressure a little bit there, even in the first half, disrupting you a little bit. Just what did you feel like they were doing that was most effective and made it difficult for you guys to operate?
I feel like they did a good job executing our defense. Of course, they have great players, great athletes, and they have a great defense coordinator, so they did a good job doing that.
Our next question is from Austin Ward. Austin, go ahead with your question.
Justin, how much do you think it impacted you guys and what you wanted to do offensively when Trey went out?
Of course, Trey going out. Of course, he was hot these last few games, but we have a mentality of competitive excellence. And, when one man goes down, we have to bring up the next man. But of course, we have Trey out there. He's a baller. He's a warrior, but he wasn't able to be out there and play with us. So, of course, maybe he would have made a difference. Maybe he wouldn't have. But, with or without him, we still got to execute.
Our next question is from Bill Landis. Bill, go ahead with your question.
Justin, as you were making your way off the field there, it seemed like you were stopping and talking with a lot of people, but I'm just curious what your message was, particularly for some of the young guys that you had a moment with who have to take this loss and I guess find a way to use it going into next year.
I mean, yeah, I was just telling young guys that, they have a lot more years here left, and I was just telling them to remember this feeling, never let it happen to them again. Of course they were down. They have time left. They have time to work. So I just encourage them to, get back to work as quickly as possible and just remember this feeling, walking off the field with the loss. It doesn't really happen that much here at Ohio State. So I just told them to remember the feeling.
Our next question is from Carter Hill. Carter, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Justin, I know you kind of touched on it earlier, but how overall did you feel coming into this game? And you talked about how well their defense had been playing, and what did you see overall from their defense as the game progressed on?
How did I feel coming into the game, and what did I see overall from their defense?
Yes.
I felt pretty confident coming into the game plan, planned out, but they executed better than we did. So of course, Bama's a great team. They're great, and we just got to be better.
We have time for one more question for Justin. Pranav Rama, go ahead with your question.
Justin, a tough loss for the team today. How will this motivate you in the offseason?
It's motivated me a lot. We didn't get the turnout that we wanted to. We didn't get the result that we wanted, but that's just gonna make us work harder. This team deals with that adversity very well. We've been through a lot of adversity this past year, so I think we're just gonna use it to just get back up and just work our butts off the road. So, yeah.
All right, that is our last question for quarterback Justin Fields. Justin, thanks for joining us. We will have on this Zoom call next cornerback Shaun Wade. Take a minute to get him set. All right, Shaun is here and is ready to go. I'll take our first question from Nathan Baird. Nathan, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Shaun, just the way Alabama was able to consistently get the ball out in space and break things off in the first half, I guess, especially Devontae Smith. Just looking back on it, why do you think that was so open for them just continuously through the first half?
Really, they just gave him the ball in open space and he made plays. He's a great player. And they had a great scheme and they just made plays. They outplayed us today. I heard Justin say the same thing. They just came out and played us today. So.
Our next question is from Austin Ward. Austin, go ahead with your question.
Shaun, when you look back now at all the challenges in your decision to come back, you didn't get what you most wanted, which was this national championship. Was it still worth it for you? Look back on this last year for us.
Oh yeah, definitely was worth it. I see myself growing as a man, and just the team and all the young guys growing as a man. I'm just happy to be part of the team and all the things that we went through, the adversity, and I'm happy I came back, and I'm just glad we got here. I'm upset I didn't get the win, but I'm definitely happy I came back, and I'm just happy to be with this team and accomplish some big things with this team. I'm proud of them, and I'm proud of everybody. So.
Our next question is from Cameron Buford. Cameron, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Chief. I got a two-parter here. Would you give your recruiting pitch to all those listening? That's for my first question. And then about the time difference. You guys played your 7 games versus their 12 games. Do you feel there was a difference in either team being up to peak performance tonight?
You could say that by the end of the day, we both in the same predicament. We both made the national championship, so we both got to play our best games. And yeah, we played 7 games. They played 12, and they played more games. They have more experience than us, with more chemistry. So you could say that by the end of the day, we both made the national championship. That's not an excuse. That's nothing. At the end of the day, they just outplayed us today. And you said the recruiting pitch.
Yeah, recruiting pitch for those listening.
Oh yeah, we got a great program here, and just the brotherhood is very, very strong. We went through a lot of adversity with the season getting canceled, to the season coming back, to just games getting canceled and not playing enough games and everything. We went through a lot of adversity, and just shows that how much we fight. Even today, just not giving up, and everybody just kept on playing. We just kept on playing, and we just kept on fighting. So at the end of the day, just for all the people that's looking at Ohio State, just really look clearly, and it's a great program. So.
Thank you, Chief.
Our next question is from Carter Hill. Carter, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Sean, you touched on it a minute ago. Obviously, this was a very interesting season. What do you and the team what do you personally and what do you want the team to be remembered for in this 2020 season?
Just all the adversity and how much we fought. At the end of the day, the season was canceled, and we didn't have a season. So, everybody was down, and we went through a whole September where we just didn't know, and they ended up having a season. And we had camp during school. Like, nobody has ever done that where you have camp during school. And it's just crazy how much we just stayed focused and just kept on fighting every day. Then we had 3 games. And then after that, we had Big Tens, and we didn't have enough games. Everybody was doubting us. So we just kept on fighting. I'm very, very proud of this team. I'm glad Smith got the season back, and the Big Ten commercial let us have a season. Just very proud. Really looking forward to next year with all the young guys that's going to be big games with Cam Brown, Seven Banks, and Josh Proctor, and whoever they play in that secondary. So I'm very proud of them, and just really looking forward to their season next year.
Okay, one last call for questions for Sean. Just a reminder to use the raise your hand function if you have a question. All right, next we'll go to Stephen Helwagen. Stephen, go ahead with your question.
Sean, I know the game just ended, a half hour ago, and if you're not ready to make a declaration or whatever, it seems pretty obvious that you came back for one more year. But is this definitively your last game at Ohio State, or do you still want more time to consider it before the deadline a week from now?
I really can't say. I do want to come back and everything. I have to go talk to my parents. It is upsetting that we got here and we just didn't accomplish the goal, and that just been my goal for this championship, and just win big games like these. So I'll just go back with my parents, go talk to them, and then we'll just go from there.
Thank you.